Mom, Dad's being weird again.
Luscious.
Honey,
So full.
it's just grass.
Oh, it's so much more than just grass. It's a healthier, greener, and more luscious lawn. Yours can be too.
Look at you.
With 𝗙𝗃𝗏𝗏Brothers Lawn Care.
Remember, no shoes on the lawn. Because you're so beautiful.
Call her.
Bacon, exciting to chew. Bacon Fest, we're expecting you and love. Iowa bacon love.
Murph and Andy, proudly presented by Ramsey Subaru, live and on demand across Iowa everywhere from the Channel Seed Studios. This is Murph and Andy. Murph and Andy, connected by cellular advantage.
Great to have you, Murph and Andy. Wednesday, blah, blah, blah. Let's get right into it, Andy. One gorilla, 100 men. Who you got?
I've spent way too much time thinking about this in the last 24 hours. I think I got the gorilla.
I've got the
honestly
gorilla
do.
too.
Mhm.
I do. I want to hear why you have the gorilla, because I think you're going to be more analytical with this. Maybe even studied some data
No, well,
points.
why don't you
have
tell
some
me
science.
first? Why don't you tell me first then? If you
All right,
wanna-
mine is simply, I don't think you can keep the 100 men together. So we're not talking about their collective strength. We're talking about human nature. And
it's
the
not
gorilla.
a tug of war. You're not playing tug of war with them.
Right. And I don't think you can keep 100 men in some kind of formation where they can use their numbers to defeat the gorilla. What I think happens is the first few men that run up to the gorilla have limbs torn off.
Yeah.
And they are visibly bleeding out with an arm here, a leg there, maybe a decapitated head, maybe somebody's had their chest bitten into. At this point, most of the men go running. I've got the gorilla.
I won't veer too far off of that. Yeah, I mean, I should say, first of all, gorillas are peaceful animals and they don't want any part of this. And they're critically endangered, and it's terrible that we're
Listen,
even
this
thinking
is not a
about this.
PSA for gorillas.
No, seriously.
Who wins this fight?
I mean, it would be sad to even think about it. We should be thinking about not killing them, but saving them. But when the shit comes down, there's just, first of all, I like how people keep moving the line. They're like, well, no. Okay, 100 men. All right. What are we talking about? 100 MMA fighters?
Can we
100
handpick
Army
the men?
Rangers? Yeah. I mean, what, are they coached up for this? Is it
Are
a
there Green
random?
Berets?
Yeah. What are they? How big are the men? That kind of stuff. But a male silverback gorilla is what I'm picturing here. The one that we just had in the picture there. Those guys are like 600 pounds, and they can lift like nearly 2,000 pounds. And who even really knows, because a gorilla hasn't been in a deadlift contest, but they're so strong. And I agree. I think it starts out just the way you said. A few guys run up to him. One guy gets his hand bitten off. Blood is going everywhere. Another guy gets his arm torn off and thrown, and maybe even the gorilla just like beats him with his own arm. And then, bites someone's skull in two. And there's no way that 25 of those men don't have the shit physically scared out of them.
Right. You
And
can
they're
see
out immediately, and the numbers change. Just like there's no way. If you've ever seen, there's this podcast the Tooth and Claw podcast that I listen to sometimes. It's
on Iowa Everywhere.
No, it's really well done. It's this wildlife biologist and his like two goofball buddies, and they talk about animal attacks. And in a couple of them, they're talking about these people who've decided to keep chimpanzees for pets, which is, never turns out well. And then they're cute when they're babies, and then they grow up into an adult, and then they go nuts, and they get out of the cage, and they'll show and describe the injuries to people by a chimpanzee, which is much smaller and not nearly as strong as gorilla. And the injuries are the worst things you've ever seen. They look worse than people that stepped on landmines and stuff like that, because they're done by an animal and there's veins and tendons hanging, but they're just terrifying. And a gorilla would be 10 times worse than that.
Let's go to the contrarian here, even though I think you're right, Andy. Many people do lose scale of just how big this gorilla is. But AD, are you siding with the 100 men here if you get to pick the 100 men?
Oh, if you get to pick the 100 men, it's 100 men, no question. I think even random 100 men have a pretty good shot. I think that the numbers game here, because everything you guys have said is absolutely true. The first 10 screwed. 20 guys run away.
They don't have weapons, though. How are they going to neutralize a 600-pound gorilla?
These things aren't fully stamina. It's like they get tired.
He's going to run out of gas.
Right? He's going to run out of gas. He has to kill 100 people.
Yeah.
So the 100 men are going to do the rope-a-dope with the gorilla.
No, I don't think that's how the contest goes. It's not that the gorilla doesn't have to kill all 100 men. He just has to keep the 100 men from killing him, right?
Well, but then
somebody
it
retreats.
It just goes forever.
Because the gorilla wouldn't kill all 100 men.
It's a fight to the death, and only one guy has to survive. I think 100 men could figure out a way to kill one gorilla.
If anybody and everybody at Iowa everywhere attacks a gorilla, AD, who's the first to die?
Scott.
Yeah, it's 𝗙cie𝗶𝗹. There's no doubt
because
it's
he would also be the first to he'd get it in his head that he would want to prove himself, so he'd go running in, and we'd all be like strategizing, and Scott would just be off running, and Scott would be the first to die.
Now, Kenzo is making a video at the time. Now she's
going viral.
We understand she's not a man, but if it's Iowa Everywhere against the gorilla, she's making an Instagram video that's going viral shortly before her death.
Yes. I don't think Iowa Everywhere would do well against a gorilla. I don't think men generally would either.
There's just no way that
there's so many men.
100 men is a lot. That's a lot. But I mean, you have to count on all of those men, the ones who have not been dismembered and killed yet, hanging with it.
Yeah, but Andy, what have you seen in human nature that would make you think we would not stay? That we would be divided.
Yeah, right.
That
we would be divided.
All on the same track.
Yeah, suddenly the shit gets real. Yeah. Well, I'll tell you what. If I'm one of those men, I'm standing back. I might even try to help the gorilla somehow. Just be like, that guy has it out for you. That
I
guy
also
is
think
giving you the
there's a
stick.
level of surprise here, because as you said, Andy, this gorilla doesn't want to fight 100 men, and it would take a little while for it to fully understand what was happening, and that it really needed to defend itself.
It would run away. Yeah,
it would
run away.
accidentally kill a few guys, but it would be like the men have a slight advantage right away if they're able to coordinate and engage before the gorilla really understands what's happening.
Now, say that gorilla is protecting his family, though. A number of people have said, well, are the men protecting their families from the gorilla? Well,
to give them that superhuman strength?
Much more likely that the gorilla would be protecting his family from the humans. And then you got an even tougher gorilla. Man, I mean, have you been to the Omaha Zoo and seen the silverbacks? Like, they got a group of them, up close, how big those guys are. They're so big that they've cracked that glass, which is the thickness of a tabletop. I mean,
you do not want to mess with these gorillas.
Like a butcher block.
Remember what they used to do to the Samsonite luggage?
Yeah,
a commercial from our childhood.
Yeah, well, they famously couldn't break that, or they didn't break it. But
they certainly
clearly
tried.
didn't want to. Yeah, they didn't want to that much. But man,
what happens if 𝗀cie is one of the 100 men? What happens? Any difference?
What does he do? I mean, nothing. It doesn't make any difference to the gorilla, but I don't know what he tries to make him laugh. I guess that'd be his best defense.
Tries to convince the gorilla that the Hawkeyes are responsible for Cyclone basketball sellouts?
He's really I mean, we know he's a good mimic. Maybe he can act enough like a gorilla and make gorilla noises that the gorilla, accepts
Possible.
him
There you go.
as a non-threat.
Accepts him as a sexual partner.
Big Papa says they're not scared of the gorilla. The ones I see at the zoo are picking their butts and smelling their fingers.
Yeah, but this is a
lot of
fight.
men do that too.
This is a fight. Yeah, that's a good point.
Man,
Let's get to a quickie poll.
Go see the ones at the Henry Dorley Zoo and then get back to us.
𝗙cie pools and spas.
Who wins? One gorilla, 100 men. It's pretty close early on.
Yeah, 46% going with the 100 men. I feel bad about this because don't be tempted to try to prove that you're right. You will die. You will die or run. You'll be in full retreat. This is gorilla. Put me in with the 54%.
Yeah, definitely.
I think 90 of the guys die. I think one survives, and that's all you need.
Well, but he has to still be fighting the gorilla at the end or in retreat. If he's in retreat, the gorilla wins.
Well, no, there's one guy. I mean, what is there? One guy standing and one gorilla, and then it's a tie. I mean, no, the gorilla kills that guy too, right? He's down. There's not one guy
After
standing.
a while, the gorilla's so tired it just lays down and you just step on its neck.
And that might happen. Yeah, who knows? It's a wild
Good luck
animal.
stepping on the 600-pound silverback gorilla's neck.
I would
House
like to
Tavern.
see him just do like a backhand, like throw that giant arm around and just see how far the guy goes flying.
Forearm shiver. And Oyster in West Des Moines. Sets the table for today's sports and more. Coming up, Giannis versus Tyrese's dad, expensive prank, and Mr. Movie with a review of Accountant 2, starring Ben Affleck, Guest House Tavern Northwoods inspired Midwestern hospitality. Now it's high or low since our last show.
Presented by Wealth Charter Retirement Planning and Tax.
We are panicking about our retirement savings right now. They've fallen significantly. We see those every day. Tim Hawkins can tell you, among many other things, how to best protect your money right now. It's a worthwhile call. You'll find him at Wealth Charter Retirement Planning, wealthcharterretirement.com, or just look them up. Google search Wealth Charter Retirement Planning and Tax. You'll find them there. We just talked about this the other day. The lilacs are in bloom. My favorite thing, my favorite smell of spring, one of my favorite looks of spring. They're all around right now. I love it. It only lasts for a few days. So if you see these things out there where you are, stop and give them a big whiff.
Pretty.
Because they are just the best smell in the world, and it is fleeting. It's very, very, very brief, but this is the time of the year of the lilacs. So that usually means it's also a good time to go wet a line in an Iowa farm pond and catch some fish.
My high is going to work yesterday and seeing a new kind of chip that reminded me of Andy's infamous walk from Peggy's till 2:30 or 3 in the morning. Maybe it was even beyond that. It is simply the gas station roller dog chips, hot dog flavored potato ripple chips.
The 𝗙cie. The 𝗙cie flavored. Yeah. Our friend Kobe Gaines will be smashing a bag of these later on today. He loves 𝗙cies.
This just made my day when I saw it. They've finally done it. They've gone to the roller dog hot dog flavored potato ripple chips. And I did have one. It did not taste like a roller hot dog, but they're pretty good.
There was another one I had a few weeks ago. It was hot dog flavored also, but it had a bunch of toppings on the hot dog, and somehow those kind of came through on the chips. There was relish and mustard and stuff.
Roller dogs are pretty good.
They're really good.
If they have the drawer underneath with the water in it and the bun is kind of steamed, you get that little plastic container and you take one off the off the rolls and put that roller dog right in that steamed bun. That's a pretty economic, good tasting lunch that's probably terrible for you.
Yeah, probably is. And there's something about just like, you want those dogs on the rollers to be glistening.
Just to shine.
If they're dull, they're dry and they're past their prime. But you want some glisten on top, some moisture. Even like the little beads of the hot dog grease on the top. You want a little of that. It sounds terrible, but it's It's very ironic. You see that, and all of a sudden, that's a good thing.
I was watching two guys, Chris and Chris Williams just kept talking, would not stop talking about skinless brats. Mm-hmm. He is a big fan of the skinless brat versus the regular brat. Maybe a poll for another day.
Well, the skinless brat, was he talking about the Tiefenthalers from Northwest Iowa?
He was talking Fairway.
Oh, well, Fairway makes their own brats too, so I guess they've got skinless brats. But at Fairway, you can get the Tiefenthaler brats, which are incredible.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, they're just different, right? I mean, they're not. I love the typical Johnsonville brats too, but the Tiefenthalers will have like potato and cheese in them, nacho cheese flavor, like spicy barbecued chicken brats and stuff. It's stuff that like you wouldn't think would be great, and they just are. And I'd never had them before, but a few years ago, my friend Dylan, who's from Storm Lake, introduced me to those, and God, they're good.
And probably soon to be a chip, I would imagine. Interact with others on YouTube comments. Email Murph_Andy at iowaeverywhere.com. On X, it's Murph_Andy. That's where you will find the 𝗀cie poll, and it's all powered by the Cellular Advantage, now with 35 regional locations and proud partner with U.S. Cellular since 1993. Let's get the buzz.
The Buzz. Brought to you by Logier Heating and Cooling.
Proudly serving the Des Moines area for 119 years. All right, the buzz here, Pacers down 7 to the Bucks with around 30 seconds to go. And you think, well, this game's over. That's impossible. It can't come from 7 down with 30 seconds to go. And then you remember the Bucks coach is Doc Rivers, who has been part of the most blown leads in playoff history. He has won a championship with the Celtics, but this man has been a part of many blown leads, and another one happens last night. And Tyrese Haliburton leads the way for this comeback and hits the winning shot with Giannis Antetokounmpo guarding him down the stretch, and Haliburton hits the layup, and they win by a point in overtime and advance. That's where the buzz really begins. Because John Haliburton.
Let's go back to that for just a second, Andrew. I think one thing that really caught my eye about that play is that just in this day and age, when somebody says Tyrese Haliburton or the Pacers advance on a Tyrese Haliburton game winner, I mean, what do you think it is?
3-pointer.
Yeah, absolutely. But he drives the hoop to get this. And who does he do it on?
Giannis.
I mean, maybe the best defensive player in the NBA, and one of the best in the history of the NBA.
Certainly among the most intimidating, too.
So athletic, incredible wingspan, just really great footwork and form all the time. I mean, a guy that, I feel like you would pick him in this matchup 9 times out of 10. He goes right at him.
Yep.
Takes it up, and just kind of a reminder that that's a pretty darn good way to score an absolute have-to-have-it basket in the final seconds of the game. Just a reminder of that, because that used to be the go-to play,
right? And
it's fallen so far out of favor. It's like we don't even consider it a possibility anymore, but it is.
And Haliburton has had his clutch gene question in NBA circles, and this is an answer to that. So he immediately gets on X and Instagram and sends out a post that's overrate that. So, yeah, he's clearly aware that the NBA players voted him the most overrated player in the NBA. The clutch gene might have been part of that. The Olympic gold medal might have been part of that. Some of the trash talking maybe was part of that. Whatever. He was voted most overrated. And it's on his mind because when he hits that shot, he's like, overrate that. And that wasn't the only clutch thing he did in that game. He was great. After the game, John Haliburton, Tyrese's father, who is very familiar to Cyclone fans and beloved by Cyclone fans, John Haliburton and his wife went to Tyrese's games. I believe they continued to go to Iowa State games even after Tyrese got hurt in that game. Andy, you and I were at the game where he broke his wrist. And I believe the Haliburtons continued to support the team home and away, even with 𝗙𝗏𝗏 not playing. So he's a beloved figure here, but he's also in the wrong here. He goes on the court, which is no place for a parent, even with emotion swirling. And no one's going to question his courage, though, because he gets right in the face of one of the most physically intimidating presences in the world. I mean, Giannis, look at this man. I mean, that's an intimidating man, and they're forehead to forehead, and Giannis uses quite a bit of control here. And Andy, let's start with that. I think he deserves respect for that, because there are any number of athletes, you got up in their face like this, there are a few that might throw down.
Yeah. You know, we should point out that this has reached a good resolution, and that we understand that we are all guilty. I have done this in the past and gotten way too emotional, high or low, in the heat of the moment. And
when your kids are involved, it's a different level.
Oh yeah, yeah, absolutely, and that's a good point. And he did that, and he's admitted to doing that, and it's all good. Okay, we're okay.
Yeah, we're gonna move past this. John Haliburton has apologized, and we will get to all.
So
of that
I don't want to.
context.
I mean, we just don't want to stir this up into something that it's already not. But Andrew, if we can go back to that first slide when he runs out onto the court. So Giannis is just standing there. He's not doing anything. He's just dejected. His team lost. They're done. He's
probably done in Milwaukee. There's a lot going through his mind.
He's embarrassed. He's crushed, but he's standing there and taking it all in like someone with a true sense of sportsmanship. I mean, he's doing it the way you're supposed to be doing it. And John Haliburton comes running out with this towel with his son's face on it, and like is looking for somebody to confront, and turns around and sees Giannis and then runs up to him. But Giannis still just stands there. He doesn't do anything. He doesn't engage John Haliburton. He just looks at him. Finally, they have a couple of words, or he responds to him. He's so much bigger. He could have knocked his head clean off his neck if he wanted to. But and then another player gets in the middle of it, starts, a Bucks player starts getting in the middle and like making it worse. And he's pushing Giannis back. And then of course that always happens. It makes it worse. But then they come back together again. And then you have the words exchanged, mostly from John Haliburton. And then it gets to the situation where it seems everybody's more fixated on, what was said, and their forehead to forehead and that kind of stuff. But Giannis is trying to, he's doing the best that anybody could ever hope to do in that situation, to quell it and just ignore this, silly interaction. But even when he's pushed past that point and they come back together and the words are right there and their foreheads touch, that he still doesn't really lose his cool. So I think this is more confirmation that Giannis is a truly good guy. You have heard these stories again and again from Milwaukee, but this is a guy that teams should feel good about investing their money in. And certainly Milwaukee has felt good about investing its money in. That's pretty unflappable. Seriously.
It really is.
It's incredible.
And there's many questions swirling around this, like how did John Haliburton get onto the court? Parents aren't supposed to be out there, but they are celebrating a series win.
Well, there are other people out there too. He wasn't the only one. Yeah.
Parents, security is aware of, who the players' parents are and whatnot, and they're not sitting there worrying about them generally. But let's go through the three primary people involved here, although 𝗙𝗏𝗏 not directly involved. But start with Giannis, who has time and time again has shown himself to be such a thoughtful person at the podium. And keep in mind, he's not even speaking in his first language.
Right.
In the game, emotions run high. Having a fan which at the moment I thought he was fine, but then I realized he was 𝗙ηce's son, which I love 𝗙ηce. I think he's a great competitor. He was his dad, sorry. Coming in the floor and showing me his son a towel with his face. This is what we do. This is what we effing do. This the F we do. This. I feel like that's very, very disrespectful. You know, having somebody's dad, which I'm happy for him, and I'm happy for his son, and I'm happy that he's happy for his son. That's how you're supposed to feel. But coming to me and disrespecting me and cursing at me, I think is totally unacceptable. Totally unacceptable. It's not respectful. I talked with him at the end, and I think we're in a good place.
Everything he said was great, and
still
so
emotional.
Well,
he's still emotional. I mean, we can all take a lesson from the way that he handled that. I mean, he's in the right. Often when people know that they're in the right, okay, and they know that public sentiment is behind them, which he's a sharp guy. He knows that people are behind him here. They take liberties. They say a lot. They punch down. They take that as an opportunity to punch down. I mean, we know a lot of people that would do that in that situation. He doesn't. He sticks to the facts.
Yep.
He talks about respect, points out that he's got a championship. The Haliburtons don't. I mean, that's true. And he's not being cheap there.
He recognizes the emotions that are swirling at the moment.
He sets an example.
So well put. He does. Here, also handling this well, I thought, was Tyrese Haliburton himself after the game.
Me and my pops have talked about that, and I don't agree with what transpired there from him. I think that he just got excited, saw his son make a game winner, and came on the court. I don't think that my pops was in the right at all there, and unfortunate what happened in the end there.
Yeah. That's great. I mean, that's difficult for a son to say publicly, I don't think my pops was in the right. He shouldn't have done that. If I was Tyrese Haliburton's PR person, I'd say take the sunglasses off first before you deliver this heartfelt, sincere message about contrition for the behavior of your father. But I think Tyrese handled that very well. Yeah. And then John Haliburton has apologized. Yes. He said he wrote, I sincerely apologize to Giannis, the Milwaukee Bucks, and the Pacers organization for my actions following tonight's game. This was not a good reflection on our sport or my son, and I will not make that mistake again. That's a good apology.
Hoops God says, imagine having to apologize for your father's behavior. That's a tough situation. That's not the way that it's supposed to be. But it happens, there are, fathers are human also, and their pride and excitement gets the most of them. But I mean, I'm happy with the way that this, has resolved itself, but I think, I don't know. I mean, sometimes it's good to have an example of something that doesn't go the way that it should, but ultimately results in probably a better relationship between these sides than you would have before. And I don't even know if it's hard to even picture like the Milwaukee fan base wanting to pay back Tyrese Haliburton or something sometime. I can't even picture that. Normally that's a no-brainer. You just know that's going to happen, but because fans are like that. But I just think in this situation, everybody kind of moves on, and John Haliburton is probably a little embarrassed about this, but hey, he'll get over that too as he gets to continue watching his son in the playoffs.
We'll move along as well. The NFL has fined the Atlanta Falcons $250,000 and defensive coordinator Jeff Ulbrich $100,000 for the prank phone call to Shedeur Sanders, possibly others. Not sure who made which prank phone calls, but there were far more than just one and more than just to Shedeur Sanders. Jax is the name of Ulbrich's son who made the prank phone call. And I think the Falcons are probably relieved they didn't get a draft pick taken or something for this, because the main issue here isn't the punishment for a prank phone call. I've seen some people misunderstand that. This seems like a lot of punishment for a prank phone call, which is meant to be a joke. The fine is for leaving information out there where it could be accessible to anyone it's not supposed to be. In this case, an iPad that was left open, not locked. Son saw the numbers for all the expected NFL draft picks and wrote Shedor's number down and did a prank phone call. So it's the exposure of what's supposed to be confidential information is why the Falcons are being slapped by this. But the thing that really resonated with me, Andy, I'm trying to picture the world where I have cost my dad $100,000 with my knuckleheadedness, because I had a lot of knuckleheadedness in those years, teen years, early 20s, college years, high school years. And usually at worst, you get, you learn a little lesson or you're embarrassed. In this case, it cost his dad $100,000. Even if you're being well paid, that's a lot of money.
Yeah, I can almost hear my dad talking to me about this right now. I understand that the technicality behind the fine, but I would be fine with them coming down on these individuals anyway, even if this wasn't because of information that was left out. I think this is something the NFL needs to nip in the bud. I mean, they just can't. They can't have this happening. It's ruining your draft. It's going to be. You don't want this to turn into a giant circus where it's a cat and mouse game with people trying to prank call these guys and then you trying to keep them from doing it.
We're having enough trouble just figuring out if that picture is really of Caitlin Clark. We don't need this too.
So, and in the future, I mean, if I'm somebody waiting for a call, God, I almost think you go buy a burner or something and just give that number to the general managers themselves so that you don't so you do all you can to keep yourself from being in this situation, because it's embarrassing.
Yeah, the NFL could do this pretty easily. You just have a closed network of phones and yeah, I mean, you'd have to get several hundred of them and you'd have to give them to a bunch of players who probably end up not getting drafted. But they have enough money that they could figure out a way to not just be calling random guys' cell phones.
It might not be exactly what you're talking about, AD, but part of the reason Shedeur Sanders answered the phone is this was the only number given for these general managers. This was not his private phone that he usually uses. This was a number just for the draft.
So you're saying that my plan is exactly what happened, and that plan went up in flames.
It did, because these unique numbers, which only these prospects, only the NFL teams are supposed to have the numbers of these prospects for the draft. He left his iPhone open and there's Shedeur's draft number right there. So they called that.
Maybe we need to go back to CB radios.
Breaker 19, Shedeur Sanders.
Shedeur on the phone for me, please. I got some news for him. He's taking a 10-200. He should be back shortly.
Oh man. I mean, it's prank phone calls. I mean, somebody was right there next to Alexander Graham Bell, like the second day with his phone.
Alexander,
snap one of those off. Yeah.
Yeah. It's a prank phone call. All right there, Jerky. How about George Kittle? George Kittle is 31 years old and he gets another $76 million. And as Aaron Kiernan was telling me last night, Aaron's like, sometimes I hear these salaries and I'm annoyed by it, but George Kittle just looks like he's having so much fun playing football and enjoying his life and loving his wife and all of that. She's like, I'm happy for him. And I think there's something to that. He just looks like he's having a blast out there. And his evolution from what he looked like in college to what he looks like now to he's a Hall of Famer, right? He's going to be a Hall of Fame tight end.
Yeah, absolutely. You can kind of still see the old George there. Just take the beard off and cut the hair real short, but he put on a lot of weight, and he does look like he just is taking his money and having fun with it. And, I mean, we see athletes do that, and it's a reminder that, they kind of realize that they are living this life and that it's short. The career is short. Life is short. And you know, I would imagine that, and I know he sat down on podcasts and stuff and really has said some interesting things about his life, but it would be really cool to be able to, because I think he would really be an open book. I mean, it'd be cool to sit down and be like, hey, George, tell me some of the things that you've done with this opportunity and this money that you've made in the NFL.
11 days ago, the Hoover High School boys soccer team was ranked number 1.
Man, we got a lot of stuff today. Jeez.
This week, the Hoover boys soccer team is unranked. 8 forfeits. Hoover discovered that it had a player who was too old to be playing. He's 20 years old, but activities director, that used to be known as the athletic director, but activities encompasses more than just athletics. The activities director at Hoover High School, Charles Zanders, was kind enough to talk to WHO 13's 𝗀𝗙cie𝗶𝗹𝗶 about this and was candid answering the question, how does something like this happen?
It's not necessarily an uncommon occurrence based on the fact that we deal with a population of refugees and immigrants, and a lot of times they come from countries where the documentation does not follow along with them. So, I mean, there was no malicious intent by our coaching staff, our students. This young man thought he truly was of age. When I had the conversation with the head coach, I told him, you know, it's time for you to go back to work. This incident was unfortunate. It's time to go back, focus on the kids. Let's get that championship goal, which we have in place. They're moving full steam ahead with that goal, and I'm extremely proud of him. They've galvanized around this young man and the program, and they're just like, come one, come all. We got to do what we got to do.
Hoover can still make it to state because all teams make the playoffs, and Hoover will still be in the playoffs and will have the opportunity to advance. Lost in the championship game to the new number 1 Dallas Center Grimes in last year's season. Andy, this is one of those things that's hard for us to imagine, but I am familiar with this being a Roosevelt parent. This has happened at Roosevelt before. There are students, as Zanders was explaining, who don't know when they were born, and they oftentimes don't have the records, and sometimes they're assigned January 1 and a guess for their birthday because they just don't know.
Yeah, it's hard to imagine the parents not knowing when the kid was born and how old the kid was. That's I need somebody to explain that to me a little bit more so I can understand it if that in fact is what happened here.
Yeah, and we don't know.
Sometimes they don't have
the
parents. Yeah, sometimes
they're
orphans.
The player has parents
sometimes,
here or not.
often they're adopted. You know, there's no doubt. Yeah, no doubt. There's often they're adopted before they get here. But I mean, at some point, somebody before they got here knew their actual age, right? I mean, they didn't start living here and then get, you know, a telegram from Nigeria with a different birth date. I mean, it is complicated. What I do understand is how the schools aren't 100% certain sometimes how old these players are. The schools, the coaches, the athletic organizations, because I think we are quick to assume that in these situations somebody's trying to cheat, right? Somebody is trying to pass off a player who's knowingly too old to play as, you know, eligible to play, and that's what we think, because we've seen plenty of that. Everybody thinks of Danny Almonte and stuff like that. I mean, we see that all the time. I mean, parents do that. Parents in this country will intentionally hold their kids back in junior high school so that they are more developed going into 9th grade and thus have a better chance of being a good football player.
Correct.
I mean, it happens all the time. And these aren't refugee parents. These are well-to-do parents. So we can envision this kind of stuff, and maybe we think we can fill in the rest of the story when we just first hear the first few words of it. But I think there are some situations, and there's some situations that most of us would not understand. Right. And Charles Zanders would, others at big public high schools would. And you just kind of have to say, all right, let's make the change and be thankful for the fact that Hoover's season isn't totally ruined. I mean, they still have a chance. And it's a good thing that the Athletic Association has this system in place.
I don't completely understand how there's one document with the wrong age and that there's one document somewhere that was discovered that has the right age, but I don't completely get that. But I do know if this young man was playing college football, he'd have 6 or 7 more years of eligibility.
Yeah,
he could
right.
just go straight into the transfer portal.
Yeah.
Now here's Larry the Cable Guy explaining to Graham Bensinger the proudest moment of his professional life, seriously, when he got the call from Pixar learning that he would be tow mater in Cars.
At the part, I got the, really? And I started crying. I was so excited. Oh, I'm starting to cry now thinking about it. It's the greatest thing ever happened to me. I love Pixar so much.
What about it made you so emotional?
It was just amazing. I mean, Pixar has been so good to me. I think about that moment. Sorry, it just makes me happy.
Yeah.
So, you know, this sucks. Well, it's just everything you worked for. You know, it still makes me so happy. I get happy and I get emotional. I'm a very emotional guy.
It's awesome. I mean, that's really cool. And he's so great as tow mater. By the way,
he has great voice where he just he amps up his Larry the Cable Guy voice a little bit more, takes it up a couple notches. And, you know, I think one of the reasons he's crying is he can remember being a kid and just the idolatry of a voice or a character.
Sure.
In a movie that evokes, and you're just like, oh my God, you dream of being in that position someday. And no matter how old you are, if you eventually get a chance to be in that position, you're overjoyed.
Graham Bensinger, by the way, on after Sound Off on WHO 13. Confluence is the official beer of Murph and Andy. Confluence is where good things come together. There'll be Confluence at Saturday's Bacon Fest. Tickets still available. Let's get some more.
But wait, there's more from Either Or Eatery and Patio.
Either Or Eatery and Patio, 6222 Grand Avenue, one of the great patios in the whole state of Iowa. As a matter of fact, onlyaniowa.com rates it as the best patio we've got. Love it. If you haven't experienced it, you want to try it. Well, it is April 30th. And at long last, the Moore team has taken the time to dig up the old verse mnemonic. That is a kind of a rhyme that has a lesson in it.
Oh, I didn't know what it was.
About months with 30 days. And here's how it goes, because this is one that I could always like rattle off the first 2 lines, but I could never remember the rest of it. Here it is. Written down.
I have it.
Everybody hit record right now. 30 days has September, April, June, and November. All the rest have 31. Say February at 28, but leap year coming once in 4. February then has 1 day more.
Oh, the last couple sentences are beyond the scope of what I usually say.
They're tough, yeah. And sometimes those words get tweaked a little bit, but that's the official one.
What's the key to fighting off a sneeze? I don't look at a light, right? You look at a light, it triggers.
Pitch my nose together. Sneeze.
Finger under the nose.
Finger under the nose. That
Finger
looks
under
like
the
something else.
Looks like a mustache. The Murph stash.
Missed that mustache. Governor Reynolds has signed the cell phone bill into law. All school districts in Iowa now must come up with a plan to ban cell phones in the classroom and limit their use inside school buildings, and they have to do it before the start of the next school year. So
thank God.
This is about the time. Thank God. Yeah, right. This is a good thing. This should have happened. This is about the time that Hoover High School started working on their ban last year.
I'm sure it's more complicated than we think.
Yeah, it is. But they started putting the word out to parents that this was going to happen, to students, so everybody could kind of get used to that. And then, of course, they really started having serious meetings about exactly how they were going to implement it and who was going to be enforcing it, and what they were going to do in the cases of kids that were breaking the rule and that kind of stuff. And then really all summer long, they were kind of in touch with everybody about, hey, it's coming. Remember, cell phone ban this school year. But At last check, it had gone very, very well this year, and a number of other school districts have done it as well. And the Bergman, a small private school here, secular private school in Des Moines, it's done it as well. Couldn't be much different from Hoover, but did the same kind of cell phone policy, a little bit stricter, and they had great results as well. The Rock and Roll Hall of Fame has announced its class of inductees for 2025, and here we go.
This class is all over the place.
All over the place. Some of it I'm kind of surprised by, but we'll see what you think. Bad Company has made it in. 𝗀cie 𝗃𝗃𝗃𝗃.
Was surprised he wasn't in. I know it's like one big song, but it's kind of like the start of rock and roll.
Yeah, absolutely. Joe Cocker is in posthumously. Cyndi Lauper is in. Outkast. Yeah, I don't either. Outkast has made it in.
AD, there you go.
Andre 3000 and Big Boy, right? Soundgarden. Sans Chris Cornell. Well, with Chris Cornell, but he won't be at the ceremony.
Yeah, he won't be there.
And the White Stripes have made it in, which personally I don't understand that one, but
Jack White annoys you. You
No,
feel
he
like he's
doesn't
the
annoy me.
lead guitarist in a Tim Burton movie.
Yeah, I just don't I don't see the White Stripes as having enough hits and maybe even influence to be in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame above some of these others who did not make it. Oasis, Fish, Billy Idol, Mariah Carey, and the Black Crowes. They did not make it. I thought Oasis was going to be in. I did. Surprised Billy Idol isn't in.
Yeah, Billy Idol is still out. Cyndi Lauper is in.
And Mariah Carey is one of the biggest stars.
Yeah, Mariah Carey is an enormous pop star. Mariah Carey is selling more records right now than any of these other artists.
Just at Christmas.
Just at Christmas, right? Yeah. But Billy Idol is still touring.
Yeah.
He's still playing. He was I was living in the 80s. He was bigger than Cyndi Lauper.
He had a bunch of huge hits. Not to mention a good role in The Wedding Singer.
Yeah, just that iconic look that she has that too. But I don't get it. Anyway, the induction ceremony will stream live on November 8th. November 8th from the Peacock Theater in LA on Disney Plus and on Hulu the next day. An induction special will also air later on ABC.
The Peacock Theater is not on NBC.
Somehow it's not.
Okay.
Did NBC used to own that place and they sold it off at auction?
I don't know, but that's just always been their symbol, the Peacock. Over at 13, we have the Peacock Lounge where I eat most of my meals.
Me too. It's I don't know. That's a puzzling one, but anyway, it looks like it will be. You will be able to see this in some capacity at some time if you want to. A recent study conducted by addiction resource site FindRecovery.com has identified the U.S. states with the highest rates of binge drinking.
Wow!
Look at how dark Wisconsin is. However, Iowa leads the nation with a binge drinking rate of 22.5%, according to recent data.
Iowa leads the nation in binge drinking?
Yeah, baby.
I would guess it's because our smaller population kind of concentrates the drunks better.
I think it might be because Derek Duke was here this past weekend.
It is a recent report. We are followed by North Dakota, Montana, South Dakota, Nebraska, then Wisconsin, and then Hawaii.
Hawaii is an outlier.
Put that map back up there again, Andrew. Let's let Murph guess which state finished last.
By the state?
You can literally see the state.
From
space in this
Utah.
map. Totally Utah, and somehow Oklahoma doesn't drink that much.
That's surprising because they're in Oklahoma.
Yeah, jeez. Okay. It is with heavy hearts, and we'll end it on this. It's with heavy hearts that the New York Mets announce the passing of longtime legendary fan Seymour Wiener. Now, he started out slowly, but eventually the Mets began to see more and more of Wiener, and Seymour saw more and more of them. But as the elder Wiener aged, they began to see less and less of Seymour. He is survived by a long list of younger Wieners. Rest in peace. Seymour Wiener, New York Mets fan. I hope I did him justice there.
You did. Grimaldi's fan photos, Murph_Andy at iowaeverywhere.com. Send them in. Just you, your family, your friends, whatever you want. Just having a good time.
Oh, I'd smash that pizza right now. Oh, that looks good.
And we'll give a $50 gift card on Friday to Grimaldi's coal-fired brick oven pizza in West Des Moines or the district at Prairie Trail. AD, what do we have going?
Yeah, this is Becky Reich, who won a couple of weeks ago. Her and her husband went and enjoyed some Grimaldi's. And then this is just a reminder, hey, send the pictures even if they're terrible. This is from Cody, who sent this in from the Shinedown concert the other night. His buddies
Did you just say send them in even if they're terrible?
Yeah, it is a selfie. It's a selfie.
We appreciate all submissions.
Oh, wait, this is a selfie? I missed the fact that, oh, now I see that.
See the guy's forehead.
It's about to get heavy back there with Shinedown at the Wells Fargo Arena with the Iowa Event Center.
Send even if they're terrible.
Even if they're terrible pictures, send them in. Grimaldi's wants to see them. We want to see them. You're not going to win, but hey, we might put you on the show.
Well, yeah, that was good. Ladies and gentlemen, it is time for Mike Woody, also known as Mr. Movie.
It's time to go to the movies with Mr. Movie, Mike Woody, presented by P&P Small Engines.
Speaking of P&P Small Engines, Mike, have you noticed the grass is growing fast right now?
It is growing very fast.
I mean, your shirt is even green.
I mowed on Sunday, and it needs to be mowed again.
I mowed yesterday, and I was thinking I could mow again today.
Crazy.
Wow. All right, we have an out-of-the-box topic here this week, and the Kentucky Derby is coming up Saturday, which caught me off guard that is
I didn't know that
close.
either.
Yeah, it's coming up this Saturday. So horse in a movie, not necessarily say a horse movie, but a horse in a movie, but I am going with both here. And it started with my love of the book, 𝗙cie_𝗶𝗹𝗹. And then I thought the movie was great, and I learned a lot in the book, and then it came to life up on the screen in a way that I thought was true to the book. It was really good. And if you don't know the story, it's a true story, but it's like a undersized horse with a limp, a jockey who is too big to compete. And in the Depression, this horse, this jockey, and the trainer end up inspiring a nation just with their underdog will find a way to persevere type vibe coming out of this. And I love 𝗙cie_𝗶𝗹, and I love the story.
It's a fantastic book by Laura Hillenbrand. It is one of the best sports books that I've ever read. It might be the best. She is an amazing writer. Also wrote Unbroken, which is also an incredible story. But you're reading the book or you're watching the movie, and you are, as a sports fan, shocked that you had not heard much about this story before.
Right.
I mean, I'm a horse racing fan, and I knew of 𝗙cie_𝗶𝗹. I had no idea the depths of his popularity. Just and the interest and the story. I mean, she must have been. There were times when you could just tell a writer is just. They're so thankful for every word that they get to write down in this story, because when it hasn't been told yet, or it's barely been told yet, they must feel like the luckiest people in the world to get to be the ones to tell that story, because it tells itself.
Mike, you loved 𝗙cie_𝗶𝗹.
𝗙cie_𝗶𝗹's a great movie. It really is.
Yeah, Jeff Bridges and Chris Cooper was the trainer, right?
Yes.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
Tom Smith is his name. Yeah.
Yeah, it's just all really well done. Secretariat's another movie. Mike, why do you think, before we move on here, why do you think horses make such good sports movies? Because there's several that are terrific.
Yeah, it's just, I think it's just the magnificence of that animal when it is running is just, it's just wonderful to watch, to see an athlete, if you will, at that peak level is just, it's wonderful. That's why I like watching horse racing. It's just, it's fascinating.
Yeah, and one thing you really learn with 𝗙cie𝗶𝗹, and especially reading the book, is what incredible athletes the jockeys are.
Yeah.
How difficult that is, and the strength and endurance that it takes to balance on the balls of your feet, not touching the saddle, they're not sitting on the saddle.
All while being hungry.
Yeah. Balance on the balls of your feet on an animal that's going over 40 miles an hour that, you know, with all of these others shifting and banging into you all around, at any moment you could go plunging to your death under all these thundering hooves. It really does a good job of explaining that.
Yeah. Andy, what horse did you pick?
Well, all right. So I picked 𝗺𝗃 from The Never-Ending Story. Now, his death crushed me when I was 12. He's in the pit of despair here, or the swamp of despair. I don't remember exactly what it's called. And he kind of just starts walking, and 𝗙Treyu𝗼 is trying to get him to walk out. Andrew, can we just play a little bit of the audio here? It's heartbreaking.
You're sinking. Come on, turn around. You have to now.
Oh, but he does, yeah, and he goes down, yeah, and so and it just crushed me when I was 12, and then brought my own kids to tears when I made them watch it later on, and they love this movie. I still do. I was a little too old for it at 12 when it came out, but I still love The Never-Ending Story, and 𝗺𝗃's going, just giving up and sinking into that mud is still a killer.
Mike, I hope you can lift the spirits back up after that really depressing scene.
Oh, I think I can. I think I can. The Electric Horseman, I know you guys have probably seen this. Robert Redford plays an aging rodeo star who's basically just a show guy at a casino, and he just doesn't understand how this horse is being treated and how poorly he's being treated. Right. So he just gets up on the horse and just rides away and goes out into the wild in Utah or in Nevada. And Jane Fonda plays a TV reporter who's following this story. And it's just, it's a charming movie with Jane Fonda, Robert Redford. Willie Nelson is just a hoot. So it's just, I know a lot of people haven't seen this movie, or maybe haven't seen it in a long time. If it was on right now, I'd leave the show early and go turn it on.
What's the name of the horse?
I don't remember the name of the
horse.
Oh,
I don't know.
And it's clashing cultures too, because Jane Fonda and Robert Redford eventually, kind of fall for each other, but they also know there's no way with the two worlds they come from, there's any realistic chance.
It's not going to work, but they're going to have fun while it's not working.
Yeah,
Rising Star, the name of the horse.
Rising Star.
Okay. All right. And that also, that has the huge hit for Glenn Campbell, Rhinestone Cowboy. That comes from this.
It's a really good movie.
AD horse.
Heard of that movie. Yeah, my horse is 𝗺𝗃 from The Godfather.
Oh, jeez.
This horse is going to end up in bed.
It's a champion horse, purchased for $600,000, and it's the pride and joy of movie producer Jack Woltz. But things don't end well for 𝗺𝗃. Jack Woltz refuses to put Johnny Fontaine in his new war film.
That's about to change.
Luca Brasi decapitates the horse, leaves the head in Waltz's bed in one of the more iconic movie scenes in history.
I agree with that. Mike, this is one of the most iconic scenes in movie history.
It's unforgettable. It is. It's just terrifying.
I don't see how this is your favorite horse, though.
Well, he's dark. He's got a dark side to him, Andy.
Really
you see the glee when he found out that Iowa binge drinks more than any of the other 49 states?
Thought
he was
about
excited
going
about.
with Shadowfax from the Lord of the Rings.
Oh yeah, show us the meaning of haste.
Like the
Love
Lord of
that
Horses.
Hidalgo, maybe something. Man from Snowy River. You picked a dead horse head in a bed covered in blood.
Khartoum. I'm not going to race him, though. I'm going to put him out to stud.
Yeah.
Mike, I would say based on the feedback I've been getting this past week that Sinners is your new Christmas Vacation. The amount of people have stopped me and said, how did Mr. Movie not like Sinners? People love this movie. It's a huge hit. It's not even dropping off in box office.
I liked it until it became just gory, bloody. Yeah. Now.
Gory, bloody. Okay.
Gory and bloody. And
yeah, and you're entitled to your opinion, as we make certain everyone knows.
Unless Sue's home.
Right, Mrs. Movie. The Accountant, Jenny was gone this past weekend, and I promised her I wouldn't see it without her. That's the only reason I haven't seen this yet, because I was a fan of the first one. I know you were too. And this trailer looks good to me. Looks like it might have a little more humor in it than the first one. Mike, The Accountant 2, what'd you think?
You know what? I was completely enthralled with this movie. John Bernthal, I think is his name.
Yep, John Bernthal. If you're watching us, he's the guy on the right.
As Affleck's brother is just a hoot. And I mean, he comes in late in the movie, but he steals the movie because he just doesn't care. If he has to shoot somebody, he's just gonna shoot him. It's a really good sequel to a really good movie.
So I watched The Accountant on the first one, on my way back from Mexico, and I liked it. It was a little hard to put together, but I did like it. I read a bunch of critical reviews of it, and boy, did those range widely.
Yes.
But it was interesting. And absolutely you could just feel the sequel coming, right? Or the franchise coming as you're watching it. But it had, I honestly, I want to watch it again and then go see the sequel.
Yeah.
And you were watching it, what, on a screen?
Yeah, on my phone. Yeah.
Oh,
right.
on your phone. Yeah.
Sound was great. The picture was small.
But I mean, you take a movie and you name it The Accountant.
Yeah.
Who the hell wants to go see that?
Yeah.
But once you find out what it is.
The Accountant's got some John Wick in him. What's the grade for The Accountant 2?
The Accountant 2 is a easy A-.
Nice. Okay. Very good. On Swift Horses.
Jenny's going to be glad that you waited.
She's not seeing On Swift Horses, I'll bet. Speaking of horses, what is this?
Oh boy. You know what? There was nothing else to see. So I thought, well, let's, I know Daisy Edgar Jones. I think she's a good actress. I have no idea what this movie was about. It is two brothers. And
you saw it and you don't know what it was about? That's a bad sign.
I know what it's about now, I think. But there's two brothers, and they're one of them's married to Daisy Edgar Jones's character, but the other one's kind of sweet on her too, and that gets a little creepy at times. And then this man introduces himself to one of the brothers, and they decide, well, maybe we should just be a pair. And then it's a mess. I'm sitting there in the theater. There's like 6 people. 2 women get up and walk out about a half an hour in. And it's just...
Because it was bad, or because it was more R-rated than they were expecting? Or what do you think?
Probably both.
Okay.
Yeah. It just...
On Swift Horses. What's the grade for this? Because you certainly didn't talk anybody into going to see it.
No. It's a D. I should have gone to see The Accountant 2 a second time.
D as in don't go see it. Okay.
D as in don't.
All right. Next week, summer kind of begins here as we go into the first weekend of May. And to my surprise, Thunderbolts has great buzz.
These are the anti-heroes of the Marvel universe, and they don't really care. They're just going to do what they want to do. And if somebody gets hurt, that's too bad. But there seems to be a lot of humor in the trailer, which is good. I'm excited to see it. I am.
AD, are you a Thunderbolts person?
I don't know much about this. I've been in on a lot of the Marvel movies. I kind of checked out after Endgame, and I haven't really kept up with them that much. But this does have good buzz. It is interesting.
Yeah,
does,
and the
okay.
cast is good. It's gonna have a lot of humor and a lot of action.
Nick Cage is back in The Surfer,
and I guess he goes back to the home where he grew up, where he learned how to surf.
Does he have blood on his feet in this photo?
I believe so. I think there's some people that have taken over this beach, and they don't really appreciate this guy coming to what they consider now their beach.
Oh.
And so he's got to do some whoop ass.
It says 99 minutes of sun-beaten terror.
Yeah.
All right. I can't wait to hear what you say
So
about this one.
how old is Nicolas Cage?
He's like 60.
Only 60?
No, he's
Something
got to
like
be a
that.
little older than that.
I'm going with 60. If we're
Okay.
playing Guess Whose Birthday.
Ooh, you get the point. It's 61.
That's awfully old to be able to surf, let alone kick ass.
And you know what? Nicolas Cage doesn't care. He's just
Andy, I don't have time today to show you how to surf, but I'll show you how to kick some ass.
Nicolas Cage.
That I'd like
Nicolas
to
Cage.
see. Yeah. So yeah, I mean, nothing's going to open against a Marvel movie
Except The Surfer.
except for The Surfer.
I'm more excited to hear what you say about The Surfer next week. I think I know what Thunderbolts will be like. I've seen Guardians of the Galaxy. All right. Thank you, Mr. Movie. Enjoy the
All right,
movies.
guys. We'll see you next week.
Mr. Movie presented by P&P Small Engines. It's time now for Throwdowns.
Throwdowns. It's Throwdowns. Backed by Heartland Tire and Auto.
Heartland Tire and Auto, treating you like family in Ankeny, Waukee, Knoxville, Boone, and Creston, an authorized dealer of both Bridgestone and Firestone tires. Andy, Tyrese Haliburton hit the big shot last night. He's a two-time All-Star and Olympic gold medalist. Is Haliburton the best professional athlete to ever come out of Iowa State?
Ooh,
That's a good question.
that's a good question.
That's and he's a strong entry.
Mm-hmm.
Feel like I should be able to answer this quickly. The best professional athlete to ever come out of Iowa State.
Yeah, maybe we limit it to like the major sports. There may have been a tennis player or something at some point.
Jeez, I feel like we would know about that person.
Yeah, you're probably right. There are some NFL guys who I think have a chance to like come up where, but I don't think Breece Hall or even Brock Purdy are where he is right now.
I mean, Brock Purdy has been to the Super Bowl and he's done a lot in the NFL, but I mean, these are serious accolades in the biggest basketball league in the world. I'm going to say yes, I think at this point, and he's got a lot more in the tank.
I don't think there's any question he's going to be. I guess the only question would be, is he already now? If he stopped playing today, is he already there? You have Hornacek and Niang, and you pointed out some of the NFL players. Todd in the comments says Cael Sanderson, but he wasn't a professional wrestler. He had an incredible amateur career and is now an unbelievable
best amateur
coach.
career. Yeah, the best amateur career.
Yeah, good question. Probably yes.
All right, Murph, two higher-seeded Western Conference teams are facing elimination at home tonight. Which team is more likely to force a Game 6, the Lakers against the T-Wolves or the Rockets against the Warriors?
I think it's the Lakers. I think they'll find a win tonight. They have enough talent and determination, and I would expect a little bit of rest for the starters in the second half this time. What a colossal coaching blunder.
Yeah, I'll go with that as well. I think the Lakers get a game here.
All right, Andy, I spent a lot of time on airplanes last week, reading a book, listening to podcasts. How do you typically kill time on an airplane?
Watching movies at this point. Yeah. I'm so uncomfortable. I'm too tall to ride on the plane. I'm too tall. It's really uncomfortable. I can't sleep well even when I'm absolutely exhausted. I have a hard time sleeping. So I will both listen to music and watch a movie, but I think I probably at this point haven't been on a lot of planes recently, but at this point I'm spending more time watching a movie.
I work on a reward system. I first make myself go through all the photos on my phone and eliminate the ones I don't have to have on there. Then I go through my emails, which usually is a couple months back of things that I've set aside and forgotten about. And then once I get all of that done, I reward myself with a podcast or a book. But I have to get through that first, and it's the only reason I do it, so I can get on to something less painful.
That's smart. Good for you. That's Throwdowns.
All right, it is time for the Andrew Downs audio drop of the day. We call it the AD Squared.
Yeah, it's powered by Game Day Men's Health. And once again, I was out of town for my weekly shop, but they were able to send one with me. It's very cool the way they're able to do that and help you no matter where you are. Get to a Game Day Men's Health. I go to the one in Ankeny. You can go to West Des Moines or North Liberty. Guys love to have barstool arguments while watching sports, and they can turn anything into a barstool argument, including a conclave.
NFL draft?
No, we're watching the Pope draft.
So many good prospects in the College of Cardinals.
Yeah, like Peter Turkson.
And Luis Antonio Tagle.
And Shador Sanders.
I got my money on Peter Ado.
What?
No way.
No.
He's a scrub.
Youngest Cardinal ever.
Guy couldn't bless a blind kid if he was stuck inside of an orphanage.
Check out my rookie year Pope Benedict Cardinals.
You're not on Fanatics?
No, Mitchell and Ness.
You guys think they'll take Shador?
I already bombed his confessional interviews.
Do you honestly believe that Turkson is more popeable than Paroline?
Advocate of the poor, okay? Speaks 5 languages.
All right,
He's fluent in Latin.
Dude, it's the Vatican. Everyone speaks Latin. He's a playmaker, okay? He negotiates treaties.
When did you get drafted as a Lutheran priest?
You son of a bitch!
With the first to pick in the Pope draft, the Vatican selects Shador Sanders.
Into the Popa draft. It's like Father Guido Sarducci, for those who remember.
I also watched Conclave
SNL.
on the trip.
Oh, what'd you think?
I thought it was great.
Yeah, it's good.
That is a movie that definitely should be on a screen bigger than your phone. It's just it's so gorgeously shot at the Vatican.
It is, but it's also a movie that takes a lot of concentration as you're watching and listening, and I've got that on the plane.
Great acting in that movie, too. Quickie poll results presented by 𝗀cie Pools and Spas.
Who wins? It's that simple. One gorilla, 100 men. The gorilla is leading this one, 54-46.
What if the 100 men are on the tee?
I mean, maybe one more survives.
Give me the 100 men.
Maybe two more.
What if one of the men is Chris Williams? First of all, there's a chance that he first sees the gorilla and somehow thinks it's a UFO. I see. Just keep burying your head in the sand. There's a UFO. That's a gorilla, Chris.
Would use Williams' head as a bowling ball. He would palm it and just pop it off his neck and roll it down the street.
Yeah. Well, that's pretty dark.
Chance.
Dark way to end the show. Thank you for being part of Murph and Andy here on Iowa Everywhere, where Chris Williams' head is still intact. Stop by the merch store if you get a chance. AD will take care of you, courtesy of AKC Marketing at iowaeverywhere.com. Like and subscribe. It's easy to do. Helps us out. Makes it easier for you to follow the shows on Iowa Everywhere. We're back Friday, and we hope you are too.